Everyone wants to be smarter. We say it all the time. I wish I were smarter. If only I had their brain. We watch brilliant people solve problems that baffle the rest of us, and we think, that must be the good life. That must be what it feels like to have it all figured out. But here's what nobody tells you. The same brain that lets you see further than everyone else also won't let you rest. It won't let you switch off. It won't let you just enjoy things the way other people do. And for a lot of genuinely gifted people, that's not a small price. That's the whole cost of admission. This isn't about feeling sorry for smart people. It's about understanding something real, something that gets glossed over every time we celebrate genius. Because the thing about a powerful mind is, it doesn't come with an off switch. Let's start with something that sounds like a gift, but quietly becomes a prison. Boredom. Picture a kid in 3rd grade. She finishes the worksheet in 4 minutes. The rest of the class takes 40. So she sits there for 36 minutes every day. Not daydreaming exactly. Her brain is still running, still chewing on something. But there's nothing to actually feed it. Researchers who study gifted children call this chronic understimulation. And its effects aren't minor. When a brain that needs high-level input spends years without it, it doesn't just get bored. It starts to disengage. It stops trying. Studies show that roughly 25% of gifted individuals become underachievers. Not because they lack ability, but because they spent so long in environments that didn't require effort that they never learned how to apply it. And here's the cruel part. That pattern follows them into high school, into college, into careers. The person who never had to try, suddenly faced with something genuinely hard, doesn't know what to do. They stall, they avoid. Because struggling feels foreign, and failure feels catastrophic when your entire identity is built around being the smart one. That brings us to perfectionism. And this one runs deep. High IQ people tend to overthink and overanalyze things. They can avoid taking action until it's too late, missing out on time-limited opportunities. Many researchers note that it can be hard for these individuals to fall asleep at night because an overbusy mind keeps turning things over, keeping them in a state incompatible with rest. This is called analysis paralysis. And it's not laziness. It's the opposite. The gifted mind sees every possible outcome of a decision simultaneously. The good ones, the bad ones, the unlikely ones, the catastrophic ones. Choosing feels dangerous when you can see exactly how badly things could go. So sometimes you just don't choose. You research more. You plan more. You wait for certainty that never comes. Mental health specialists describe patients who feel frozen by possibilities. People who can envision so many potential outcomes that choosing any single path feels impossible. The very thing that makes them excellent problem solvers. The ability to hold multiple scenarios in mind at once makes ordinary decisions feel like minefields. Now let's talk about what might be the loneliest part of all this. At the far right tail of the intelligence curve, the pool of people who reliably understand you shrinks. It's one reason highly gifted adults so often describe childhood loneliness, adult masking, and a private sense of being fundamentally different. Think about what that actually means in daily life. You're at a dinner party. The conversation is moving through small talk, surface opinions, comfortable agreements. And your brain is 3 layers underneath all of it, noticing the contradictions, asking questions nobody asked, drawing connections that seem obvious to you and bizarre to everyone else. So you learn to hold back. You learn to perform a simpler version of yourself. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've learned that showing the full picture makes people uncomfortable. Despite bringing enthusiasm and genuine excitement to interactions, Gifted people often find these qualities aren't reciprocated, which leads to frustration and a painful longing for more intellectually stimulating connection. And the numbers back this up. A child with an IQ of 133 appears in the population at a ratio of roughly 1 in 40. Rarely finding someone who truly understands you inevitably leads to loneliness. Now push that further. An IQ of 145, 150, higher. The ratio gets worse fast. You're not being dramatic when you feel like nobody quite gets it. Statistically, they probably don't. There's another layer here that's harder to talk about. Existential depression. Those with a broader and deeper capacity to comprehend their surroundings encounter unique intensities that can be both remarkable and crippling. The same heightened consciousness that inspires an intellectually gifted writer or artist to create can drive that same person into a deep depression. When you have the cognitive horsepower to sit with life's largest questions, mortality, meaning whether anything you do actually matters, you tend to actually sit with them. Most people brush those questions aside. They're too busy, too tired, too distracted. But a mind that won't quiet down keeps circling back. It keeps asking. And the answers aren't always comforting. It is well known that many historical intellectuals, Leonardo da Vinci, Sigmund Freud, Albert Einstein, Pablo Picasso, were plagued by documented mood disturbances. Sir Isaac Newton brooded so intensely over past mistakes and future worries that he eventually suffered a complete nervous breakdown in 1693. These weren't weak people. They were arguably some of the most formidable minds in human history. And the very engine of their brilliance was also the source of their suffering. Here's the paradox that sits at the center of all of it. Intelligence is supposed to be a tool that helps you navigate the world better, make smarter decisions, live a better life. And in many ways it does. But a tool that never stops working, that runs even when you're trying to rest, even when you're trying to connect, even when you're trying to just be, stops feeling like a tool. It starts feeling like a burden. Research suggests that highly intelligent individuals may be better equipped to adapt to modern, independent lifestyles in ways that reduce their dependence on social connection. But this adaptability doesn't always translate to happiness. It sometimes translates to isolation dressed up as self-sufficiency. They don't need people the way others do. Or at least, that's the story they tell themselves. Meanwhile, they're sitting with questions nobody around them is asking, carrying a weight they can't quite explain, and performing a toned-down version of themselves, just to make the room feel comfortable. None of this means it's better to be average. That's not the point. Exceptional intelligence is still exceptional. The people who changed how we understand science, art, medicine, the way we live, they were often the ones who couldn't turn their minds off even if they tried. But we do this thing where we treat genius like a free upgrade, like it's all upside, no cost. And the cost is real. The loneliness is real. The sleepless nights are real. The paralysis, the existential weight, the exhausting performance of fitting in. All of it is real. The most honest thing you can say about a brilliant mind might be this: it is simultaneously the greatest advantage a person can have and one of the hardest things to live with. Not because it makes life impossible, but because it makes ordinary life feel like wearing shoes that are just slightly the wrong size. Every single day, in ways you can't always explain to people who've never worn them. And most of the time, you don't even try to explain. You just keep walking,